someone to listen.
How do I tell them?
Our specialist advisors are here to help as often as you need them. Whatever you need to ask, cancer, work, money, life, call us now on 0808 134 1000.
In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news, is here.
This is NDTV, and you're watching NDTV 24/7.
The Bangladesh High Court has refused to ban Iskcon amid huge uproar over a Hindu monk's arrest. Meanwhile, at least 30 individuals have been detained in the country's Chattogram area. They are alleged to have played a role in the killing of lawyer Saiful Islam and attacking security personnel during protests over the arrest of Hindu priest Chinmoy Krishna Das Brahmachari. A ceasefire between Israel and the Lebanese militant group Hezbollah that began Wednesday appears to be holding. This as residents in cars heaped with belongings are streaming back towards southern Lebanon despite earlier warnings from Israeli and Lebanese troops underlining they stay away from certain areas. According to Gaza's health authorities, the death toll from the ongoing Israeli attacks in the enclave has risen to 44,282, with over 104,000 injured. In the past 24 hours alone, Israeli military operations in Gaza caused 33 deaths and 134 injuries, according to the statement. The Israeli Defense Forces continue to carry out military operations in multiple places across the Gaza Strip. Ahead of his January departure from the White House, US President Joe Biden is reportedly ensuring that Kiev is bolstered with a weapons package to the tune of $725 billion. Three people were killed and one seriously injured early Wednesday when a Tesla Cybertruck crashed and caught fire in Northern California. The Piedmont Police Chief Jeremy Bauer said speed was likely a factor in the single vehicle collision, but added that authorities would continue to investigate the circumstances of the tragedy. Listen in. China is reportedly eyeing to launch more military drills in the coming days near Taiwan. The country's security officials opine Beijing is reportedly using President Lai Ching-te's upcoming visits to the Pacific and scheduled U.S. transit as a pretext. The Australian Senate has debated a ban on children younger than 16 years old using social media. This after the House of Representatives overwhelmingly supported the age restriction. The bill would make platforms like TikTok, Facebook, Snapchat and X liable for fines of up to 50 million Australian dollars for systematic failures to prevent young children from holding accounts.
The core focus of this legislation is simple. It demands that social media companies take reasonable steps to identify and remove underage users from their platforms. This is a responsibility these companies should have been fulfilling long ago, but for too long they have shirked these responsibilities in favour of profit. This is not a radical concept, it's a necessary one.
Relatives of protesters detained during Venezuela's post-election crackdown held a vigil on Wednesday at the headquarters of the Bolivarian National Intelligence Service. Thousands of people were detained during and after the deadly protest that follows Venezuela's disputed July presidential election. Protesters took to the streets chanting, "Freedom to those who are imprisoned for fighting." Listen in.
Hoy yo quiero que acudamos a la oración, a Dios Todopoderoso. Hoy es día de la Virgen de la Milagrosa. Vamos a pedirle a ella que nos haga el milagro, que tengamos una Navidad sin presos políticos y que nos dé la libertad que necesitamos en este país.
Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro has announced the creation of a new honor for the officials who had been targeted by U.S. sanctions following the country's disputed elections. Washington imposed sanctions on an additional 21 Maduro aides, accusing them of perpetrating some of the repression with which officials in the country responded to July's election. They joined a list of dozens of sanctioned Venezuelans that includes ministers, prosecutors, and even the head of the country's high court. Take a look.
Que nadie se equivoque con Venezuela. Nadie se equivoque con Venezuela. Venezuela seguirá su camino de independencia, construyendo su propio modelo político, social, económico, cultural, militar. Nuestro propio modelo. No seremos esclavos de nadie.
A 2-year-old was killed and 4 adults injured from multiple gunshot wounds in Tennessee's Jackson. The local PD responded to reports of shots fired in the area of Wallace Road on Tuesday at approximately 3:55 p.m. local time. Upon arrival, they discovered that the 5 individuals suffering multiple gunshot wounds inside an SUV. Police confirmed that the 2-year-old child succumbed to the injuries and an individual of interest is in custody. Further investigation is underway. Former TV host Charlie Rose has settled a sexual harassment lawsuit brought by 3 women in the wake of his Me Too era ouster from CBS News in 2017 and the cancellation of his long-running eponymous PBS talk show. Lawyers for Rose and the women, younger employees who accused him of predatory behavior and blatant repeated sexual harassment, filed court papers this week confirming that the lawsuit has been resolved. UK's Prince William on Wednesday handed out awards at the Tusk Conservation Awards ceremony in London. Among others, he presented the Prince William Award for Conservation in Africa to Nomba Name and the Tusk Award for Conservation in Africa to Edward Aruna. Here's more.
I believe we are the lucky ones. We live in a world in which incredible wildlife exists. And I want that for the generations that follow. I want my children to live in a world where swallows still migrate, gorillas still live in the cloud forests of Uganda, and rhinos still roam the arid rangelands of Namibia. It'll be thanks to extraordinary leaders such as those that we are celebrating today that this will happen.
Shenyang City in China's northeast Liaoning province has welcomed the return of the remains of 43 more Chinese People's Volunteers martyrs. They died during the war to resist US aggression and aid Korea. In recent days, many billboards, outdoor electronic screens, bus stations, and various places in Shenyang were decorated with slogans and posters to welcome the return of the remains of the fallen soldiers from South Korea. Uruguay's President-elect Yamandu Orsi met with current President Luis Lasalle Pou to discuss the country's transition of power. Speaking after the meeting, Orsi said the pair discussed the transition of power and the doors would remain quote-unquote wide open throughout. Orsi's new government will assume power on the 1st of March next year. American rapper Sean Diddy Combs was denied bail again on Wednesday ahead of his May sex trafficking trial. The judge cited evidence that he poses a quote-unquote serious risk of witness tampering and has attempted, in fact, to hide prohibited communication with third parties while in custody. Two other judges previously had agreed with prosecutors that the Bad Boy Records founder was a danger to community if he is not behind bars. The massive helium balloons that will float through New York City for Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade have been filled with the gas ahead of the big event. Dozens of workers and volunteers will in fact help inflate the stars of the show on Wednesday. This year, 17 giant character balloons will travel from Manhattan's Upper West Side to Macy's Herald Square flagship store on the 34th Street, alongside floats, performers, marching bands, and much more. In the remotest reaches of Alaska, there's no relying on DoorDash to have Thanksgiving dinner, or any other dinner for that matter of fact, delivered. But some residents living well off the grid will nevertheless have turkeys brought in, well, by air. Esther Kim flies low and slow in a small airplane over rural parts of south-central Alaska, dropping frozen turkeys to people living in roadless Alaska. Listen in to Kim.
I grew up in the bush, in the rural Alaska, so there's no roads. The only way that you can get there is by airplane, by snowmobile, or boat if you're on the river system. And so during freeze up, during Thanksgiving time, everyone is stuck.
No child should suffer the torture of trachoma, but so many are in pain right now. Nananga's lashes have turned inwards. They rip and tear away at his eyes. Pomelo's sight could be gone forever. He's just 3 years old. Kofanga screams for his mother. His eyes are so infected that he can't even see her. For so many children in the world's poorest countries, trachoma is torture. It's a painful infection often spread by flies, and it's destroying children's eyesight. But it could be stopped if you help today. By calling 0800 038 4926 and giving £1 a week to Sightsavers, you can help make sure children get the treatment they desperately need. You'll help us bring them the medicines and the care that can treat infections. And that means you'll be helping to save children from the torture of trachoma and a life of blindness. Please help us reach them. Call 0800 038 4926. Text C13 to 82727 or go online and give just £1 a week now. Because we need you to help save the sight of children like Nananga. We need you to help save them from the torture of trachoma.
In the December draws, a share of £32.5 million must be won in People's Postcode Lottery's biggest ever prize pot. Sign up before midnight on the 1st of December.
Madhya Pradesh, the heartland of India. With 1,000 years of preserved history and diverse wildlife. Celebrations of art and heritage. Explore Madhya Pradesh. Join us for an interaction on investment opportunities in Madhya Pradesh. Meet us in United Kingdom November 24 to 27, 2024. And Germany, November 28th to 30th, 2024. A precursor to Invest in Madhya Pradesh, the future-ready state.
We know travel can be confusing, so let us inspire you. Welcome to Qatar. Experience it all. World-class hospitality, diverse landscapes from city to sea, and fly there with the Airline of the Year 2022, Qatar Airways. Book now at travelup.com or call 0207 580 5000. Travel Up, flights, hotels, holidays.
The US Federal Trade Commission has opened a broad antitrust investigation into Microsoft. The probe reportedly covers the company's software licensing and cloud computing businesses. The investigation was approved by FTC Chair Lina Khan ahead of a likely departure in January. The election of Donald Trump as US President and the expectation he will appoint a fellow Republican with a softer approach towards business leaves the outcome of the investigation up in the air for now. Toyota Motors' global output has dropped for a 9th consecutive month in October. The output was dragged lower by big falls in production in the United States and China, but the decline was mild compared to previous months. The world's biggest automaker also logged its first rise in 5 months for global sales, which grew 1.4% to 903,000 vehicles, a record for the month of October. China's National Bureau of Statistics has said that the combined profit of major industrial enterprises went down 4.3% year-on-year in the January-October period in the country. Industrial firms above designated size, or those with an annual main business revenue of around $2.81 million, saw their combined profits total about $689 billion during the 10 months. In October, the total profit of major industrial enterprises saw a narrowing decrease of 10% compared with the same period last year. China's International Supply Chain Expo themed Connecting the World for a Shared Future is running from Tuesday to Saturday in Beijing. It showcases 620 companies and organizations from 69 countries and regions, reflecting a notable increase in participation. Prior to the event, over 5,000 demand matches were made, facilitating early connections between domestic and international businesses. Attendees emphasized the critical need for collaboration in global supply chains at the ongoing second China International Supply Chain Expo. Take a listen. Two of London's most famous markets, one selling fish, the other meat, are set to close in the coming years, bringing an end to traditions stretching back to medieval times. On Wednesday, the City of London Corporation, the governing body in this capital city's historic hub, is set to present a bill to Parliament. The bill aims to bring an end to its responsibilities to operate the Billingsgate Fish Market and the Smithfield Meat Market. Both these markets have existed in some shape or form since the 11th century. Mexicans are worried that threats by Donald Trump to impose 25% tariffs could affect a wide range of iconic Mexican products and threaten entire regional economies. In western Mexico, no crop supplies an income for so many small growers as avocados. But avocado growers, pickers, and packers worry that US consumers, faced with 25% higher prices, may just skip the guac. Huawei Technologies has released...
Y ayer me dijeron, nuestra estimación es que van a subir en promedio estos vehículos $3,000 por unidad en los Estados Unidos. Entonces, ese impuesto, imagínense, 25%, hay que considerar que el 88% de las pickups, y ayer me dijeron, nuestra estimación es que van a subir en promedio estos vehículos $3,000 por unidad en los Estados Unidos. Entonces, ese impuesto, imagínense, 25%.
Huawei Technologies has released its long-awaited flagship Mate 70 models. They feature AI teleportation, enhanced satellite communication and connection, and upgraded Harmony OS Next operating system. Listen in to what this customer has to say.
This is also one of the most exciting things about this phone, because it also features lots of AI, right? So probably it will assist you with your messages, with your schedule, with your even maybe with your alarms.
According to reports, ChatGPT's owner OpenAI is allowing its employees to sell roughly $1.5 billion worth of shares in a new tender off to Japan's SoftBank Group. The reports come after Microsoft backed OpenAI's completed a $6.6 billion funding round from investors, including SoftBank in October, at a valuation of $157 billion. International Telecommunication Union's Facts and Figures 2024 report on global connectivity has found that an estimated 5.5 billion people are online in 2024. This is an increase of 227 million people based on revised estimates for 2023. While an estimated 68% of global population is now online and all indicators tracked in the report show improvement, stubborn digital divides persist and about 1/3 of the world's people remain offline.
Globally, our 2024 estimates show that 1/3 of humanity still does not use the internet, and that accounts for 5.5 billion people who are online, an increase of 227 million people based on our revised estimates for the year 2023. An estimated 2.6 billion are estimated to be offline, down from revised estimate of 2.8 billion for the year 2023.
Heavy snow has blanketed streets and roads in South Korea for a second day on Thursday. The continued snowy weather comes as the biggest November snowstorm to hit South Korea's capital in more than half a century. It has blanketed Seoul, grounding hundreds of flights, disrupting commuter traffic, and leaving at least 2 dead. A heavy snow advisory was issued early in the morning after accumulated snowfall reached up to 40 centimeters. However, the advisory was later called off. The city of Buffalo is preparing for a winter snowstorm that is predicted to arrive in the American Northeast on Friday. The storm is coming as an Arctic blast in the Midwest and wet weather in the eastern U.S. are expected to disrupt travel over the Thanksgiving holiday weekend.
In the past, where there were predictions of 2 or 3 feet, and we get 6 or 7 feet. So we have to be prepared, and that's why we remind everybody. Now's the time, the next couple days, including tomorrow on Thanksgiving, if you need to get provisions, get provisions.
India's Gukesh Dommaraju has won the 3rd game of the ongoing World Chess Championship final against reigning world champion Ding Liren of China. The 18-year-old Indian Grandmaster won Wednesday's game. Liren fell behind the clock and lost the game on the 3rd day of the final. Both Grandmasters are now tied on the 14th final, which will break for a rest day on Thursday, before the action resumes for Game 4 on Friday.
It's always nice to win a game. Also, for the first time against such a strong opponent, it's always nice. I think it means more that I got a win in the World Championship, and a very important win. So, yeah, I'm happy with many things about this.
The 2024 Shanghai Sports Show will open on Thursday. This year's show has reached the largest exhibition scale ever, with nearly 100 interactive activities during the 3-day event. The sports equipment discounts at the venue will reach the highest level of the year, along with a series of consumer benefits linked to surrounding commercial and tourism sectors.
我们今天现场大概会有200多个新品都会到现场来展示，然后呢，品牌方都会带来全年最大的一个优惠力度到现场。同时呢，我们来参观我们上海体博会的观众还可以凭我们的预约码到边上世博园享受优惠，不管是餐饮啊、消费啊都会有折扣，甚至停车还有优惠。
A rare first edition of a Harry Potter book has sold for £36,000. Christine McCulloch bought the copy of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone for her son Adam in the 1990s. She said she paid about £10 for the copy from a bookshop in Stratford-upon-Avon in 1997 and had no idea the same book would be worth thousands of pounds 30 years later. On Wednesday, the first edition was sold at Rare Book Auctions in Lichfield, Staffordshire, with the buyer paying £45,000 in total with the buyer's premium. The Beatles' Ringo Starr seems to have confirmed that Barry Cogan will play him in the star-centric film Sam Mendes' 4-part Beatles biopic. Robbie Williams explained why he embraced the idea of being portrayed as a chimpanzee in his biopic at the European premiere of The Better Man. The pop star recalled how filmmaker Michael Gracie pitched the chimpanzee concept to him, speaking on the red carpet in central London. Listen in.
It came from the recordings. Like I listened a lot to the initial recordings that Rob and I did for over about a year and a half. And you know, time and time again, he would refer to himself as a performing monkey. And I just thought, wouldn't that be fascinating to represent Rob as he sees himself rather than just as the way we see him?
The 12th National Traditional Games of Ethnic Minorities kicked off on the 22nd of November in Sanya, Hainan province, showcasing traditional sports from China's ethnic minority groups. Chinese athletes took part in a single bamboo drifting competition on Wednesday. Athletes stood barefoot on a bamboo piece, floating on water, using a thinner bamboo pole to propel themselves forward in Sanya, the southern Chinese island province of Hainan. High-wire walkers from northwest China's Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region performed the Davas on Wednesday at the 12th National Traditional Games of Ethnic Minorities in Sanya, South China's Henan province. Performers on a 21-meter wire above the ground performed blindfolded walking, ballet dancing, high-heeled walking, and other actions, winning audience applause. Take a listen.
刚练的时候50公分都做不了，然后我们慢慢的练，现在上了21米的高空。做大瓦子基本功是很重要的。我们每天5点半起床练基本功，然后上午练舞蹈。
There's a door sensation sweeping the nation. It's that time again as citizens put their doors in the drawer for People's Postcode Lottery's biggest ever prize pot.
In the December draws, you and your neighbours could win a share of £32.5 million.
Transform hard chairs and surfaces into comfy seats with Soft Sitter from JML. The lightweight gel cushion that helps provide all-day comfort and support wherever you sit. The hexagonal honeycomb construction cushions, distributes and supports your weight. And its breathable design allows air to circulate, helping to keep you cool. Perfect for all types of seats or to use as a kneeling pad. Get the comfort and support you need this Christmas with Soft Sitter. Only $14.99 from Asda, Argos, Morrisons, Tesco and JMLdirect.com. JML, your Christmas made easier.
In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news is here.
NDTV proudly presents NDTV World Summit 2024, the India Century. I now request the Honorable Prime Minister to launch NDTV World
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's inaugural session at the NDTV summit outlined his vision for the India century, driven by aspirational India.
हमारा प्रयास होगा भारत की सेंचुरी सिर्फ भारत की नहीं बल्कि पूरी मानवता की जीत की सेंचुरी बने.
The summit brought together prominent global leaders, highlighting India's pivotal role on the world stage.
Not just Indians trusting India's leadership, but the global South especially trusting India's leadership.
Canada is concerned, I think there are some very specific issues. I think a lot of people know that.
Permanent seat on the UN Security Council is something that should be.
Stalin has written this to the central government, saying that earlier the state government, on the basis of recommendations made by a committee it had constituted, had sought a few modifications in the way the scheme is to be implemented. But now there was no response to that and no modifications have been made, and hence MK Stalin says the state